Hi, I'm Mr. Sutton. I'm head of PE and I'm also the course leader for CNAT Sport, or Cambridge National in Sport. So on the board at the moment, we've got a typical do now task that is focusing on the Olympic flag and also the ethos behind the Olympics. The question, however, is asking, why are there 5 interlocking rings and what is the significance about the 6 colours? This question has specific factual answers, but what we would also do is ask the pupils to discuss the meaning behind the symbolism and then link it to the history of the Olympic Games. How we would be looking for pupils to answer is that the 5 rings represents the 5 parts of the world, so otherwise the continents. And also the colours represent a part of every flag in the world. And the belief of Pierre de Coubertin, who founded the Olympic movement, was that people all over the world could put aside their differences, come together and celebrate the success of human endeavour through sport. And that still remains the focus of the Olympics today, breaking down barriers, the inclusion of the Paralympics, and it is why it's still such a popular generational event in the world. So the CNAT Sport course, the question or do now task we just did was from a year 10 unit called Socio-Cultural Issues in Sport. And that is an exam that is 1 hour long. The pupils sit it in the January of year 10, and then they can re-sit it at another point during the course, which we will enter them when they are most confident. In year 9, we start with a practical sports performance piece of work, which involves evidence from a team sport, an individual sport, and also officiating that goes towards 45 out of 60 marks that is practical, and the pupil's going to take those assessments over year 10 and year 11 as well to try and improve those marks. The last part of that coursework is identifying strengths and weaknesses in their performance and then creating an action plan to improve their performance in a sport of their choice. After the exam in year 10, we then do an outdoor education unit where pupils do go and experience outdoor activities such as climbing, abseiling, mountain biking, walking and trekking. They get assessed in 2 of those activities, and then the rest is coursework where they produce a plan to lead an outdoor adventurous activity session, and they research what is available in the local area and create documents for anybody who, if they were visiting, could look for the benefits of outdoor education in our area. And then finally, we finish year 11 with a sports leadership piece of coursework. This is where pupils become the teachers. We get them to plan a series of lessons and they go into year 7 PE, lead those sessions. They get a practical mark on their leadership that goes towards the final mark of that piece of coursework. They also get marked then on the quality of their sessions, the planning of those sessions, and finally evaluating the impact of the sessions. The last part of year 11 is spent, pupils are allowed to resubmit each unit twice. So after sitting it once, they can get feedback, and then at the end or part the way through the course, they are able to resubmit it to try and improve their mark. The course is graded from 4 units that I just described, 60 marks each, 240 marks in total. That means you can build marks towards your final grade from 4 different areas. So every mark counts, because if you are practically very able, you want to try and get as many marks in the practical as you can to then support your exam entry. And then vice versa, if you're very academically driven, you do really well on the exam, you want to then maximize those marks to build on anything you then do in the practical. As I said, the course is very flexible for pupils. They get rewarded hugely for their effort and their willingness to put in extra work, research, come to after school clubs, represent the school, join a sports team outside of school. That can have a really big impact on their final grade. An example of a model piece of work on the screen now is a piece of work from the sports leadership unit where pupils were planning a progressive leadership session. This is just part of the document and it's one of 3 assignments they have to complete. This pupil got a level 2 distinction for this piece of work because the first drill starts basic with clear teaching points, but then is progressed to get more complicated. It has good use of clear terminology, and there's been clear research into progressions and how it's going to develop the players. The rest of this document then included another progression and then a developed game where the pupil talked about tactics and gameplay from the skill they had led earlier on in the session. Ways pupils can be supported at home or where they can do some independent work. The pupils all have a login to an online platform called Answer Perfect, which has revision videos, questions, quizzes, all around the topic areas they'll be studying in CNAT, and they can access that anywhere from home, from in school. They will get set tasks by teachers to do for certain times, but they can also work ahead at their own pace and do any extra they would like to. In the lead up to the exam unit, we will give all pupils a GCSE simplified sports studies revision guide. That comes with a workbook as well that they can answer questions in after having completed revision tasks. Again, we will use this in lessons. We'll set them tasks to do in their own time, but they can use it as much as possible to try and support them before that exam unit. And then finally, we have the Google Classroom, which will have all of the lessons for each unit. It will have all of their assignments for each coursework unit, which they'll be able to show you. You'll be able to access, see their progress. And also we'll have any independent work links linked in the classroom as well, where pupils can do further reading, watch videos around contemporary issues in sport to keep them up to date with any issues that might arise in the exam. On the board at the moment are the teachers for the different classes. If you look at your child's timetable on Arbor, you'll be able to see the class code and identify the teacher. If you have any questions about the course, about the pupil's progress, then please just drop us an email. We can organise a phone call, or we can look at ways we can support your child further going through the course. If you have any questions about the course overall, then again, my name's Mr. Sutton. Just drop me an email or call the school, and I'm more than happy to discuss the course further.